You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
All right, so folks, welcome back. This is the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison. I am joined now by Reverend Gregory Bentley. He is the preacher at First Presbyterian Church in Huntsville. Is that right?
Fellowship.
First Presbyterian Fellowship.
No, Fellowship Presbyterian Church.
Fellowship Presbyterian Church. I'm sorry, I had the Presbyterian right.
Right.
But he was also co-chair of the Alabama Bernie Sanders campaign. We had him on to talk back in June before we did our Labor for Black Lives rally. The North Alabama Labor Council did that. And so, Brother Bentley, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, as you can tell, we're broadcasting out of the RWDSU local union hall, and you're from Huntsville, but you came all the way down on Saturday to support these Amazon workers doing this campaign. Why did you drive all the way down from Huntsville, Alabama? Make that 2-3 hour drive to support these folks?
Well, first and foremost, because I believe in labor, because I believe in justice. And justice, not the biblical notion of justice, not punitive justice, but justice in the sense of restorative and distributive justice. Justice that ensures that each and every living being has what they need to not only survive, but to thrive and flourish. That's why I support unionizing, because that unions have served a critical role in helping workers get a fair share of what they earn and what they help others to earn. So, I think this piece, especially in a historically anti-union state like Alabama, this could be huge, not just for Alabama, but for the whole country and for the labor movement. So I think this is bigger than just the workers at Amazon. I think this has the potential to help breathe new life into the labor movement in this country and indeed globally.
Right. You mentioned something that I'd like you to tease out for me a little bit. You said that you're doing this because of the biblical principle of fairness and justice, and you're a reverend, and your faith obviously motivates you to be a participant in these movements for social justice. But yes, a lot of Christian folks that I know, their reaction to stuff like this, stuff like these Amazon workers talking about, I don't get paid enough, or I don't get enough breaks, or my hours are too long, or my quotas are too harsh, and I want a union to make my job better. Their reaction to that is get a different job or pray about it. So how do you talk to Christians like that have this kind of passive and just really, really non-confrontational style of their faith that leads them to basically accept or encourage others to accept whatever yoke is placed on their back?
Man, we could spend a whole series on that, on how that came to be. But I guess the short answer is they just really need to read the Bible. They just really have not read the Bible. One of the seminal stories of the Bible, the Exodus, is about labor. When the children of Israel are led out of slavery, that is a story that is fundamentally about labor. And about what is fair when people labor. When people labor, they deserve to be paid justly for their labor. And that's why slavery is fundamentally wrong. You don't pay anybody for doing work that is profitable to everybody except them. So, and the other piece would be sticking with the biblical narrative is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you were in that position, would you want to be treated like that? Would you want to be treated? Would you want to be paid less than what your labor is worth? Would you want to be in an atmosphere where you were being intimidated and coerced and just horrible working conditions, would you want to be in a situation like that? And the easy answer is, yeah, well, get another job. Mm-hmm. Well, they shouldn't have to get another job. That job should, have all the things that are necessary for people to earn a good living and have good working conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, Brother Bentley. I think I'm worried that we streamed too long on YouTube, and we may have to pull that back up. Let me do some troubleshooting here.
All right.
Okay. No, that's just the reception on my computer then.
Okay, we good?
Okay, yeah, we should be good. Okay. Yeah,
right.
That's you that biblical principle about we're good. So you mentioned that big biblical principle about do unto others as you would have do unto you, and being fairly compensated and things like that. I'm trying to think of how to ask exactly what it is that I want to ask.
Right.
What do you think about? Can you say that again about what you would say to the just get another job? Because I think I missed that a little bit, and so I want to be able to jump off of that. I missed that because I was worried about the stream functionality. So can you go over that again?
Well, what I would add to that is if somebody says, "Well, get another job," they're really admitting that the job that you have is not adequate or is not a job that they would want to have. Right. And if a job needs to be done, then people need and deserve to be fairly and justly compensated for it. This whole piece of talking about menial jobs, it's not a job is a job. If a job needs to be done, if the outfit or the operation can't function without the job being done, then people should be paid justly for what they do.
Right.
We come up with these terms to diminish and minimize and reduce certain workers, and over time we buy into it and we say, that's a menial job. Well, does the floor have to be swept? Do bathrooms need to be cleaned? Does the lawn have to be cut? know, and if they have to be cut, then people deserve to be paid fairly to do that.
Yeah, that's something that I remember David, my co-host, him, the folks listening know him. I've heard him say things like that all the time, talks about, their company wanting to pay janitors less. And he's like, okay, well, who's going to do that work if the janitor doesn't do it?
Yeah, who's going to do it?
And the answer is David is going to have to do it. And then the next question is, well, what is my pay rate? It's, it's a lot more than you want to pay the janitors. And so if the alternative is paying me to do it, I'm going to do it worse than the janitor. And you're going to pay me more than the janitor because I've got this, special quality of like more skilled labor. It doesn't even make sense, No,
it doesn't. It doesn't. And our system is really set up on wage theft. That's how value is returned to stockholders. It's mostly it's stolen from labor,
Right.
And the fact is that the laborers are the engine that drives the vehicle, Well, no labor, no
there's
product,
wage theft
no service.
in two senses. In the one sense, in just the strict, the employer agrees to pay you a wage and then they just don't pay it to you. That kind of wage theft is actually responsible for more property stolen than all other property crimes combined. And that's just like this. That's just like a super, super strict kind of, not lefty definition of wage theft at all. That definition of wage theft is more of a problem than all other property crime combined, and yet we can't get any enforcement mechanisms to attack that kind of wage theft. But then you've got a second kind of wage theft, which is the differential between what our labor is actually worth and what we get paid. And that is even bigger than the more strict definition of wage theft. And we certainly don't have anybody or we don't have a lot of people trying to attack that problem. And that differential goes to Jeff Bezos, it doesn't help our communities.
Sure. I mean, no question about it. I mean, these people don't return value to the community. I mean, when you look at the robber barons of yesteryear, and they were definitely, they were ruthless, no question about it. But you can point to some measurable things that they invested in that actually benefited society. They created industries, they created foundations, they funded scholarships and endowed schools. I mean, you compare them to the ultra wealthy of today, all they do is create wealth for themselves, and that's unsustainable. It's unhealthy for a society. I think it was Justice Frankfurter that said, we can either have great wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, or we can have democracy, but we can't have both.
Right.
We got to decide as a society. The problem is, and this is the real genius of the propaganda machine of the money classes, is they convince those who don't have that somehow they're just temporarily disadvantaged billionaires.
Yeah.
and create all these artificial divisions that keep us from working together for what we have in common and what we need together.
Yeah, I think I think that's powerful, and you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of folks out there that are temporarily disadvantaged millionaires in their minds, and I think we've got to kind of disabuse people of that notion. To wrap up our conversation with you, what would you say to Christians, to pastors, to churches, to people that are actually workers at Amazon that hold their faith dearly, and to people in the community that hold their faith dearly? What would you, and they've been sitting on the sidelines up until now, what would you tell them to do regarding this union drive? What would kind of be your message to folks like that?
What would Jesus do? And we know what Jesus would do based on what he did. He threw in with the oppressed. He threw in with laborers. He threw in with those who were laboring under the yoke of Roman oppression. So we don't have to ask what would Jesus do. We know what he did. And if we're going to follow him, we have to go and do likewise. Jesus was always on the side of the oppressed, taking the side of those who had been left out and locked out and left behind and pushed back. So that's where we should find ourselves, in solidarity with the most vulnerable among us.
Yep. That's a great place. That's amazing. Do you have any other closing thoughts on this, brother?
Well, we just got to get to it. I think we have some tremendous opportunities to really take a quantum leap forward. I think it was Lyndon Johnson that said that if the rich would just agree to get richer at a slower rate, we could wipe out poverty. Not be poor now.
Right. Just
get rich at a slower rate.
Right.
But that's the thing about greed. It can never be satiated. Mm-hmm. I posted something the other day. It says, if you had a monkey that hoarded all the bananas while the rest of the monkeys around it starved to death, I mean, scientists from all over the world would be studying that monkey saying, what the hell is wrong with this monkey? But when humans do it, we put them on the cover of Forbes magazine.
Yeah. It's really pitiful, and that's that's exactly what happens, and that's why we've got it. That's the importance of unions, and why we've got to that's why we've got to fight for for us to be fairly compensated, and we've got to fight for justice, because greed can't be satiated, and you're not gonna they're not gonna agree to get richer at a slower pace.
No, they're not. I mean, it's just right. I mean, I don't know. And for people who don't get it, I don't know how you get people to get it. I really don't. I think you just got to make common cause with the people who get it and press forward.
Well, the most amazing thing is that the people that are so down on organizing and fighting for justice and things like that, they also tend to have the most pessimistic view of human nature. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
folks like, you know, some of the more progressive theologians, liberation theologians, they've got a much more optimistic view of human nature, I think, than some of these conservative type Christians.
I would agree with you on that.
But the conservative type Christians, at the same time, they're like, oh no, the rich are just gonna, they're just gonna provide for us out of their goodwill. Like it doesn't, like everybody except the rich.
Right.
They have this pessimistic view of.
Well, we've gone so far.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
We've gone so far as to demonize poverty and to put a halo over the rich, no matter how detestable their behavior is. I mean, that's how bad, it's gotten that we see the wealthy as inherently good and the poor as inherently bad. That their condition is characterological and not economic.
Yeah. It's
so
really
we got a lot of, and the origin for this mindset, I must say, for the in large measure comes from churches.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's coming across pulpits every Sunday. This is what's taught in Bible curricula. And in Sunday school books. I mean, this thing has to be rooted out. I mean, because it's a cancer on our well-being as a people.
Yeah.
It really
We've got
is.
a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But we keep our hands to the plow and our shoulders to the wheel and our oars in the water. We'll get there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Reverend. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work.
All right, brother.